In the past few years, this region has faced fighting the Kinder Morgan lead pipeline. We're now dealing with the Granite Ridge pipeline, and so there's a lot of concern about increased methane emissions and trying to get off of that. Additionally, New Hampshire has the highest childhood rate of cancer in the nation, and that may be connected to PFOA, PFAS that is contaminating our water here in New Hampshire. I live in Fitzwilliam, which is one of those towns that has a problem with our water. Mother Jones magazine called you John Hickenlooper. And you took a slurp of frack wastewater, I can only assume to show that it's not toxic. So would you take a slurp of PFAS water, and if you really, if you're a geologist and you understand about fracking, why should I want to compromise and work with the fossil fuel industry when, getting off of fossil fuels is a big priority for me? What would you do to work against climate change, or work, for climate change, and to protect our water?
Sure.
Thank you.
Thanks for the question. And first, just to settle the famous imbibing of frack fluid, I was sitting at my desk. I had the CEO and the senior VP of technology for one of the large oil companies, and I was trying to get them to do methane regulations. And they didn't trust me. They thought I was in the hip pocket of the environmental community, and they had a prototype, a test model of frack fluid that was made solely with the ingredients, all the ingredients that had been approved by FDA to be food products. In other words, they were all like glycerin, everything had been safety tested. And they said, we're going to get to a point where frack fluid is completely, harmless, food grade materials. And here's the side. So you're not expecting me to drink that, are you? And the CEO took the bottle and took a swig. He said, you don't have to drink it, but I'll show you. It's perfectly safe. At that moment, I had a decision whether I was going to get these people to trust me and get them to create methane regulations, which no one, not just in this country, no one in the world could ever get the industry to sit down and address just what you're worried about with these pipelines, the methane that gets out and gets into our, it's not just climate change, it has all kinds of health problems. And, I have a greater sense of urgency than just about anyone I know about climate change. As you point out, I have a master's in Earth and Environmental Science. I understand science isn't perfect. We don't know. They tell me 10 to 12 years that we will be at the point where we have irreversible damage to planet Earth. And in ways, when you look at the acidity of the ocean and how it affects oceanic protein, which is a huge source of protein for the world, they're not clear on what the feedback loops are going to look like. When science gets to that point of uncertainty, we should err on the side of caution. So I'm 100% there. We were, not only did we do methane regulations unlike anyone else in the world, we're in the process right now of closing 2 of the coal-fired electrical generation plants and replacing them for the first time in this country with wind, solar, and batteries. No natural gas. Right? And with that process of wind, solar, and batteries, the monthly electric bills for the consumers are going to go down. In other words, for the first time, we'll be able to show market forces. If you want to solve the problems of climate change, it's not going to happen by a huge battle and someone else saying, all right, you have to do this. We've got to convince the universe that this is a point of urgency and that we've got to accelerate our transition. I mean, everyone drove here in a car. Right? How do we get more electric vehicles? When we got our money from the Volkswagen, remember the diesel fraudulent testing that was done on Volkswagens? Well, they settled several $100 million that was distributed to the states. We took the vast majority of ours and said, all right, we're going to set up a network on our interstates of rapid recharging stations for electric vehicles. And then I thought about it, and I said, well, that's not going to do much good to really accelerate people using electric vehicles if it's not connected somewhere else. So, I used to be, a couple years ago, I was the chair of the National Governors Association. Before that, I was the chair of the Western Governors Association. I love getting people to work together. So I called up Governor Herbert. Gary Herbert was the governor of Utah, very conservative Republican. I said, we're going to do all these electric vehicles, recharging stations with our Volkswagen money. You don't want people to drive around Utah and maybe go, to get to California. Why don't you join us with this? And he thought about it for a day or two and called me back and said, yeah, we're in. We'll integrate our network with yours. So then I called Governor Bullock in Montana, and he's a Democrat, so that was, he jumped on board. And then I called Governor Matt Mead in Wyoming, and I said, all right, you're the Republican. Wyoming is all about coal and hydrocarbons. Why won't you join this? Because otherwise people are going to drive through Colorado, up around, through Utah, and they're going to come into Yellowstone Park via Montana. You don't want to lose that, do you? And so the next day, Matt Mead said, we're in. So we were able, through collaboration, to get all 10 western states, 5 Republican, 5 Democrat, to create a integrated rapid recharging network. You know, the problem isn't fracking, and I understand that everybody's, why they're so angry at me about it. I accept that. We all want to get off hydrocarbons as fast as we can, and there are reasons about private property that I feel prevent us from just banning fracking. If you're banning fracking, you're telling someone who has mineral rights. In Colorado, it's a lot of retired families. You're telling them that their private property is being taken by the government. And as governor, I offer to work with local communities and buy those property rights, right? Do eminent domain. This is how, I mean, we're not Russia, we're not China, we don't take people's private property. But that's a longer story. I think what I try to stay focused on is between methane regulations, actually replacing coal plants with wind, solar, and batteries, getting integrated electric vehicles. We've done more. I'll match what we've done in Colorado with any state in America. On a per capita basis, we have reduced our emissions more than anyone, and we've created a model of how to work together to make this a national effort. And I think as a president, I've actually got a roadmap of step-by-step, here's what we got to do. That was my excitement. That was just technical. But we have a roadmap of what we have to do, but also I can demonstrate, I've been able to get Republicans and Democrats and oil and gas people and environmentalists to all come together, because we don't have time to have a pitched battle over the next 10 years and win an election or lose an election and go back and keep saying we feel this is so important. We've been saying this for 30 years, and we haven't won. And I think that the question now is, in real time, how quickly can we get both sides together and make meaningful steps? What we did with methane is the single most important effort we can make in short term addressing climate change possible. But what we do in the United States is just scratching the surface. It's got to be done in Canada and Mexico and Asia, right? And in Europe. In other words, methane is so pernicious, so destructive, that we have to address it, again, within a couple of years. And I think I've demonstrated, I have the moral persuasion, and that's what I did. I sat down with these CEOs of the big companies and said, you have a moral contract, a social contract with the people of Colorado, and I'm going to get up and start talking about what that means if you're not willing to step up and address methane. In no way, I think our challenge is not figuring out what we should do. We know that. Whether it's transportation, whether it's how we heat and cool our buildings, whether it's mobility, vehicles, we know what we have to do. What we need is the will and the persuasion to get everyone on board fast, in real time.
Would you pledge to